Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Welcome, Secretary Liu. We have to get used to that title since we've always known you with other titles, but mostly by your first name. I'm tempted to ask you, when is the first time you appeared before this committee?
The first time I was in this room was probably in 1973 on HR2, pension reform.
All right, I'll go on. Well, we've enjoyed so much working with you in the past. Only one of us, I think, goes back that far. And we all look forward to working with you in the days ahead. You're appearing today to discuss the administration's 2014 budget. That's why you're here, which follows those presented earlier by House Republicans, House Democrats, and Senate Democrats. Clearly, the administration's budget reflects an effort to open up a search for some common ground. Unfortunately, this has been rebuffed in the responses of the House Republican leadership. The administration made clear that any search for common ground requires a balanced approach. My guess is the President has used the word balanced perhaps more than any other word for good reason. A combination of budget cuts and additional revenues. The Republican approach is based on imbalance. The tax cuts that Republicans propose in their budget would leave a $5.7 trillion revenue gap. Yet they have never provided specifics on how they would fill it. What we know is that it would almost certainly require eliminating or dramatically cutting tax provisions that have been vital to middle and low-income families, including the mortgage interest deduction and the exclusion for employer-provided health care. Their budget reaffirms their plans also to turn Medicare into a voucher program and repeal the benefit provisions, if not the revenues which they propose keeping. In its budget, the administration has also come forth with some further ideas on business tax reform, and in doing so, it has highlighted that while lower rates are important, they must not come at the expense of critical investments that American enterprises need to thrive and to succeed. I hope that foundation and the theme of tax equity, among others, will guide us as we face the challenge of tax reform based on reality, not mainly on rhetoric. The imbalance in the response from House Republicans is further illustrated, even as we hear today the testimony of you, by their unwillingness to appoint conferees to consider the budget bills passed by the House and Senate in conjunction with the administration's budget. This continued Republican embrace of a budget deadlock is all the more worrisome, if I might say, as the sequester continues to unfold and as the debt ceiling once again approaches. Indeed, it was made all the more worrisome by the House Republican hearing yesterday that focused on the debt ceiling in terms of the possibility of prioritizing our obligations all emanating from congressional actions. We cannot continue on this dangerous path. Hopefully, this hearing will serve a constructive opportunity to embrace a different path. I yield back.